Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Hope for the Soul podcast. This is going to be a weekly podcast offering encouragement and discipleship. It's our goal to give hope to everyone who listens or watches this podcast. So I would ask you to subscribe for weekly content. You can find the Hope for the Soul podcast on all major podcasting platforms. We're already live in almost all platforms with the exception of Google Podcast and Apple Podcast, where we are awaiting final approval. So chances are this is our trailer. You're watching this on social media, Facebook or YouTube. So thank you for watching. Do us a favor and go subscribe to the podcast. That way you can listen or watch as you drive down the road or as you're working around the house or maybe even at the office. We would greatly appreciate it. Hope for the Soul will be available in video format, just like you're watching right now, on our website, conroeupc.org, or the Conroe United Pentecostal Church YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to that, we would kindly ask you to subscribe. And also, you can watch or listen on our Conroe United Pentecostal Church Facebook page. So we're so glad that you are here for this trailer episode. This little preview that we want to share with you of things that are coming. So if you're not familiar with us, my name is Trent Smith. Across the table from me is my dad, Pastor Kent Smith.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Yes. So together we lead and we pastor Conroe United Pentecostal Church. This year, 2021, marks 30 years of ministry that my family has been here. I've been on staff for about 12 or 13 years of that, and obviously Dad since the first Sunday of March in 1991. So it's a big year for us. We're excited, and we're excited to give you a preview of things that are to come on Hope for the Soul. So, Dad, let's just talk for a few minutes. Why a podcast? Why this?
Well, thanks to everyone for joining in, and I am excited about this conversation. This room that we're in, it's my office, but a few years ago we decided that we would move chairs out and the traditional things of an office and put this table up, and we normally have more chairs around us. And we gather in here every week, and it's idea room.
Yeah.
It's everything's on the table. We talk and we dream.
Yeah.
We fuss. We do it all. We have the whole gamut of a multi-generational leadership thing, and it's exciting. And then this Hope for the Soul is your idea and your burden, but it's igniting in me as well because I think that it is an incredible way to touch people.
Yeah.
To touch people beyond this room, beyond these walls. And as just for a point of maybe history, traditionally, our church for 30 years has always been a reaching out church.
Yeah,
We've never been a reaching in church. If you look at our history, we've always had very active altars. It seems that we've always had those that were blind, halt, lame, broken, and we help fix them.
The least of these.
The Pool of Bethesda, people that are broken, they come. They get their chance to get in the pool, and then they're healed, and then many times they go on. Their lives are put back together. The Lord has helped us and blessed us, trusted us, and expanded that for us, where that we're able to not just people from our community, but also many ministries have come. And they come in here broken. They're here for a season, usually just a few months. And to look out, many times the members of our church have looked and said, why are so-and-so no longer here? And we've felt that disappointment as well because we want everybody to come and stay. But on the flip side is this has become a healing place, and ministries come.
We have ministers here right now.
Yeah, we have some here right now that have come, and they'll be here for a season, and then they'll be gone. And they heal, they grow, they help while they're here. They don't just come and take. Most of them give back, and then it's exciting. So our church has always been a reaching out church. We've never had to deal with untold numbers of people coming from other ministries. Most of our people have come to our altar. So we have people change churches. We are always going to have that. But for the most part, our market, our place of ministry has been to our community.
Yeah, broken people.
Broken people. And as a result, we've done all kind of things over the years. We've always been, I remember when I first came to Conroe, I had a very nice car for my family. And I knew that I needed to bring people to our storefront church. And you'll remember this, Trent. You were a whopping 3 years old. And I traded that very nice car, even title for title, for an old, ugly gold Dodge Caravan.
Gold minivan.
And we used that for several years. That was our personal vehicle. That was our church bus. And we have people today. We have people in this church today that we brought to church in that gold minivan 30 years ago.
It's amazing.
I think it's incredible.
Yeah.
And, I used it for a work vehicle.
Yeah.
And it was...
Carpet cleaning.
That was our everything vehicle. But we've always managed... I remember one time we had a guest speaker coming, and one of the people, the families that we were bringing, they didn't have water in their house, but we needed them to be in the building because if nothing else, they were decoys. I mean, they were warm bodies. They were alive. Yeah. And so I remember one Sunday taking soap and water and telling them, if you don't use this soap and water today, I'm not coming to get you tonight.
Yeah. And we probably still have some people that we should give soap and water to when they come in.
So it's been a journey, but we've always been reaching out, outreach in so many ways. How many times have we had flyers printed and we'd go to Walmart? My job when we would do that would be how many people that we had that were putting flyers on cars at Walmart. My job was to stay close to the door of Walmart. And when the manager came out to stop us, my job was to intersect him and apologize for doing it and give everybody time to put a few more flyers out.
Sir, I'm so sorry. These people got loose. I apologize.
I was sorry.
Remember the old yellow door hangers? Oh, my goodness. Thousands.
How many door hangers? How many times have we had park parties, giving stuff away?
Baptizing people in the parks.
We've given more bicycles and stuff away over the years, and baptismals, like you say, in the park. Do you remember the time, Trent, that we had a guy come through and he had a little recording studio, and he made an introductory tape for Conroe United Pentecostal Church,
like a radio commercial.
And we made. Now, hang on here. We made 10,000 copies of that tape, a cassette tape. Went down to the place we bought supplies for the recording, the services. In those days, we recorded on cassettes. So we made 10,000 copies of that. And we had, my wife and I, your mother and I, we had our picture on the front of that thing.
We probably still have one around here.
And we stood on street corners and offered free tapes. People rolled them one down. 10,000 tapes of an introduction to. We've done so many things to get the message out.
Got Thirst Conroe.
Got Thirst Conroe. I forgot about that. I can't remember how many bottles of water we had printed. We had a container,
a 20-foot container full,
put on the church parking lot, and we filled that container with bottles of water with our sticker. Of GotThirstConroe.com. I think we still have the website. I'm certain.
Don't go there because it's probably not active.
Hasn't been updated in years, but we passed out water. I know one time we were up at the courthouse for a little something, and I was standing there talking to the mayor and the county judge, and they saw all the people that were there. There was a kind of a county impromptu event taking place, and they needed water. And one of them said, "Hey, we need to send somebody down the store, bring some water." I was there. I said, "Hang on, gentlemen." And I sent somebody down here to the church. They brought water. We passed out that day 2,000 or 3,000 bottles of Got Thirst Conroe.
Wow.
Water.com. We've done everything. And buses. We've had buses. We've had vans. Yeah. We've run to this day. We run vehicles every week,
bring people
to church. We've spent so much money. Yeah. And today we have a little lady that rides one of our van, vehicles to church every service. That we first started picking up 30 years ago, when her children were very small. Now our children are grown. Some of them are past, but that little lady coming 30 years later, it's unthinkable.
I think it's amazing.
And then a couple of years ago, we realized that the buses were not being as effective as they could be.
Season culture changes.
And things were happening, and I began to feel a couple of years ago that we needed to do what we do inside this building, outside the building. Yeah. And we had to, because we've always focused on two things. We focused on reaching out. And we've spent, I don't know, it's quadrillion, a dollar amount, but
a lot of them.
we've spent a fortune reaching out. But not only that, we've always been very focused on the presentation of the gospel.
Right, that's good.
I mean, in the earliest days, when we had pianos and regular pianos and organs and all that stuff, I can remember fussing and urging our people who would be given opportunity to be up front to no dead space. Things have to flow. The presentation's got to be high. We don't talk negatives in our church, in our pulpit. I mean, we may have to preach on a subject or teach on a subject that might be painful, but we do it from a positive standpoint.
Yeah, we reprove and rebuke.
But those things, we've done them from a very positive standpoint. Right. And we've always wanted to make it was very important to me, not just to have the gospel, but to present the gospel to where it's unoffensive. Yeah. I want it to convict, but I don't want it to be offensive. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be rude.
Yeah, that's good.
And so we've endeavored to have a presentation of the gospel. At some of our earliest, battlegrounds were, how were we going to present music? Mm-hmm. And of course, we were living in a cross section of time when new styles were coming in and old styles were passing on, and the older folk, they really loved the way it had been, but we also found that the older folk weren't willing to sing and lead. Yeah. So we had to, instead of try to cling to those songs from the 50s, the 60s, and 70s, and the hymnals. I remember, I've lived long enough that hymnal that we use now, I remember when that was a new book.
Wow, yeah.
And we had Pentecostal praises.
When that was new music.
And so if you just stay around long enough, things change. Yeah. So with all of the things we've done to reach out, we've also endeavored to have a very, very presentable, very attractive presentation of the gospel. And so smooth services, flowing services, short services. I try to preach 35 minutes. Yeah. Sometimes I hit 45 or 50. Yeah. Many times it's 25, but I've always tried to keep that part where it's not too long. So on a normal service, even now, we're in and out an hour. An altar service, say an hour and 15 minutes max.
An hour and 20 if I'm preaching, because somehow I got the long-winded streak.
So it became a burden of mine. Yeah. Became a burden of mine that we've got to get what we do inside these walls. Outside these walls. Yes. And so I started talking 2 or 3 years ago, we've got to go online, we've got to go online, we've got to go online. And then we started looking at the prohibitive cost of going online. And I was seeing $25,000, $30,000 just to barely get started. Yeah. And then, so we began a long time ago. We began, several years ago, we started doing things, and some of the things we were doing were controversial. We added some lights in the sanctuary.
Yeah.
And I'd go off to meetings, and I'd hear lights preached against.
Yeah.
And we started doing other things to prepare our sanctuary so we could share our presentation of the gospel outside.
Right.
And so, we decided that we were going to buy cameras and begin this process last March.
Yeah. Because of COVID, we were late to the curve.
And so when COVID happened, it caught us just like everybody else. We were not ready. And then, and speaking of being not ready, that first week that we had service, it was iPhone in a living room. A terrible recording. Here we are, people that are very conscious of presentation. Yeah. And we definitely offered a lack of presentation to begin with.
I think at that moment, though, I think that resonated with a lot of people because everybody was just sitting at home. And so while it wasn't what we would have wanted or liked, I think it helped people.
And I think that very first service that we put out, I know people were sitting at home, but we saw like 17, 18,000 people that we clicked on it, which was kind of crazy.
Blew our mind. That's when we knew we couldn't turn back.
So we knew at that point, regardless, so we invested in some cameras, and I have to compliment you because you have not only carried on your responsibilities, but you've explored into this bold new world for us and learned all this stuff. And I just tell you one thing: if you're going to present the gospel online or electronically, get ready to spend money every single week because there's always a gadget, a gimmick, something's broken. You got to do it.
$400 or $500 on something that no one will see.
So we went online, and I think you tell me that we have averaged 47 countries.
Yeah, I think it's like 46 countries
a month are online and interact with us. Just untold thousands of people who are being touched by it, and so to us it was just incredible. It opened up a new horizon for us, and it opened up a bold, brave new world, and that is exciting. But then we also realize we're having church, but we're also having we're seeing even a greater area that we needed to go. And we needed to touch people a little closer than just a church service. And hence came this podcast idea. We've looked at a lot of things. We follow people that are doing devotionals and preaching. And,
incredible.
And some of the most astounding things to me is some of these people that we know who just in their house, they just sit down at their piano, start singing. And literally thousands of people follow that. And I think that's incredible, but we don't
play or sing.
I don't sing. I talk.
Yeah. So you mentioned a few minutes ago that the podcast was my idea, or I guess it was birthed in me, my burden. And while it was, I remember before we had purchased the streaming equipment and the cameras to broadcast, and after we had migrated away from iPhones in my living room and your living room, and even here the foyer of the church, we went to multicam recording. So 3 or 4 cameras would record the singing, and then I would edit that together, and then we would record your preaching, and we would edit that together, and that would take, oh my goodness, hours, weeks, days. I spent weeks at my laptop in my home just working on one service a week, and so. But I remember, I think it was our first or second Thursday, we would record on Thursdays. Services would air on Sundays. And you came in after you had preached. You would preach before we would record music. People would come in after they got off work and would record. It'd take 3 or 4 hours just to get all the sound and all that ready, which is a whole new world for us. And you came in and you prayed with us. And I remember you started crying and you said, what's happening in this room can't stay in this room anymore. And that was a monumental. I wish our church could have been there. I wish everyone who's watching and listening could have been there for that. I got in the car that night. It was like 11 or 12 o'clock that night going home. And I told Kayla, I said, something changed tonight whenever you were talking. And it wasn't that you were talking, but I think it was just the stars had aligned. It was our moment that we knew there was no return. and we had got it in our hearts. This is not that we don't want to get caught behind the technological curve, because we had already been, but it wasn't us trying to catch up, but it was us trying to reach people. And that's the purpose of everything we do. And we are an outreach-minded church. And so that's where the podcast comes from. I knew there was something more. You knew there was something more. And I think this is going to be incredible of how we can reach more people on a daily basis, people who won't even watch a service that's streamed because I'm not a church person. I don't want to get preached to, or it's just singing and taking up an offering and preaching, but they'll listen to a conversation from you or I or someone else. And I think this is just very, very, very important, this Hope for the Soul podcast. So
I think people are looking for real.
Yeah.
And people have, in this day, in this hour, this tumultuous moment we're living in, we're oppressed from every direction with crazy, and then we know how to look, and we see all this media coming in, and you know we're smart. I mean, people are educated, so they look at media coming in, and they look at news reports, and they say that doesn't measure up, and they look at you know, people's presentation of their gospel or their message, and the people look at that and say, I need more than that. Yeah. And so I am hoping that these conversations are going to be on real subjects. I mean, you and I have talked, and things like faith, things like being transparent, things about how do you handle your life when life happens. Because on social media, we present life in the great moments.
It's our highlight reel.
I mean, you see somebody that presents their kids are looking great, their family's wonderful, but behind the scenes, they've got issues. Their world has fallen apart.
Right.
And you think, well, I just saw something that they posted that was I thought everything was wonderful, but you're hearing the same day you saw some wonderful picture and presentation of this family, this self-presentation. Behind the scenes, you see that there might have been a divorce that was taking place. There might have been a child that was dying.
Cancer prognosis.
I know. At our family, we had a grandbaby drowned in front of our house, and you don't get more poignant and more raw than that. Yeah. And we are real people, and people that hear this are looking for more.
Yeah, I think they're looking for hope.
They're looking for real, and they'll forgive you for your humanity if they can say that man, that woman, those people are real. Yeah. And that's what we want to present. You know, we have a presentation of the gospel that you can tune into, and it's lights, and it's moving, and it's flashy, and it's attractive, because it's a highly competitive world. Yeah,
it's a production.
But this becomes poignant. Yeah. This becomes real, because now I'm not just looking at a program, but now I'm listening, and the words that they're saying about being broken or having a disappointment or dealing with the rawness of life, that's where I'm living. Yeah. And people are extremely hungry to meet. When Jesus, he took the gospel to them where they were. He went to the pool of Bethesda. He knew that man had laid there all of those years. When he got there, he said, "Sir, would you like to be made whole?" And the man looked at him and says, "I don't have anybody to help me." And there's a lot of people
with nobody to help them. Yeah. Wow, so powerful.
There's a lot of people right now that are sitting at their personal pool
of Bethesda,
broken, trapped, looking around for help because they know there's an answer. They know there's a miracle. And then suddenly they hear a voice said, "Would you like help?" And they said, "I don't have help." And then the voice follows up and said, "Take up your bed. And here's help. Yeah. Here's a miracle." And we want to touch people. We want to, if we can be a Bethesda in somebody's world, we have proven to be successful.
That's so good.
Our name isn't important.
No, it's not.
Our names are not important. But connecting people to the helper.
Yeah.
Connecting people connecting somebody that's broken, connecting someone that's going through a divorce, connecting somebody that is, they're in a sickness, they've lost their career, their world is in free fall.
Yeah, they're in a pandemic.
They're living right in the middle of 2020, and now it looks like 2020 is having grandbabies.
It might be worse. Yeah. So this is why we feel Hope for the Soul is important for you. It's important for us, not because we want to talk into mics and look into cameras, but because we want to help people. That's the mission of this church. And we want to help people however, whenever, and wherever we can reach people. And just the trailer, the preview of this podcast, we hope has been an encouragement to you. So in closing, we would love for you to go on this ride with us. It's looking like sometime in February we will launch weekly episodes. We're waiting on the final approval from Google Podcast and the Apple Podcast Store. So we're waiting on that. And then as soon as we have that approval, we will start weekly podcasts to minister to you. So if you listen to podcasts on Spotify or Stitcher or any of these other places, we're already there. You can subscribe to us there. We would love for you to find us at Hope for the Soul Podcast on any major podcast platform. And just thank you for tuning in today. We believe this is going to be a fun ride that is empowering not only for Dad and I, for Pastor Smith and I, but also for you. And we're going to be better through this. So once again, thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon. Last words, Dad.
Let's do this together. Grab a hold and let's take a journey together.
Yes.
And let's see where God might just take us. God bless.
God bless everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.